Hello and welcome back to another HelloFresh cook dinner with me. This next one is Chicken Chasseur Style Pasta with mushrooms and cheese. So the first thing that we have to do is to get a saucepan of water on to boil, adding half a teaspoon of salt. We don't want tablespoons of salt. So I've already gone ahead and done that and just add in the salt there. The saucepan is on to boil at probably roughly a large amount of heat to get it boiling quite quickly. Sometimes I'll pop the lid of the saucepan on as well so that it contains the heat and that it's not escaping out the top of the saucepan, but I had got other things to do while I was waiting for it to boil, so it didn't matter too much that there was a little bit of heat escaping. So you can see me here peeling an onion. It does require that the onion is halved, peeled and finely chopped. So I don't really enjoy chopping onions, so what I do after I've cleared up after myself here is I come back and halve the onion. I then pop it in here, which is a device that I found in Aldi, and I do that and it chops it into pieces. It's really clever, absolutely love it. And what I do is I place it the way that I've placed it, because if I place it the opposite way around with the inside of the onion on the metal bit, then the skin type bits that are not necessarily the skin of the onion but the outer layer of the peeled onion doesn't chop properly and doesn't go through. So the next bit of step number 1 is to peel and grate the garlic or use a garlic press. Now we all know how I use my garlic press. I just getting it off the dish rack there. I scrape off the garlic and then I get the garlic out of the press so as to not waste any. The next step is, well, I'm kind of skipping ahead a step because my water wasn't quite boiled. So what I do is I drain my chicken. I have told people before about me draining my chicken. So I cut the top off, I pop it into a little sieve, and that just allows any of the extra juices to go down the drain instead of into the pan, making a funny, gross sort of sauce. So I'm just popping that in there. I've washed my hands and given them a dry off. I'm looking for, I don't know what I'm looking for. I think I was probably looking for the lid, which I don't end up using. I then cut a very small corner off of my pasta and try to get the pasta out of that very small corner hole. Doesn't work. Should have just chopped the whole top off, which I do figure it out just here and think this is going to take me way too long trying to get the pasta out. So I open up the side and take the pasta in easily like I should have done from the start. But hey ho, hindsight is a beautiful thing. I open up the packet so as to use it for a little bin bag. So the step number 2 says when boiling, add the pasta to the water and bring back to the boil. Cook until 10 to 12 minutes. So it also says once cooked, drain in a colander and pop back in the pan. Drizzle with oil and stir through to stop it from sticking together. So I just get my colander out there while I'm getting my pan out of the cupboard. So moving on to step number 3, it does state that it wants the pan to be drizzled with oil. So I pop it onto heat. I then grab my oil just there and I drizzle a little bit into the frying pan. It says once hot, add the diced chicken and sliced mushrooms. So I'm just making sure that the oil is covering the bottom of the pan enough so that nothing gets stuck to the bottom of the pan. I've then gone to get my chicken, which I bring back here and then pop that in. The pan was nice and hot, so it did give a nice sizzle as the chicken went in. I then grab the mushrooms, cut the top off of that. And then pop the mushrooms in just like so. It is okay to put raw meat and mushrooms or raw meat and onions or whatever into the pan together, because as you cook it, it will kill any bacteria that was on the chicken to start with. So it then asks you to season with salt and pepper, which I'm going to do in a second. Just give it a good stir so that it allows the chicken to start to cook on most of its sides and spreading it out as well. So this is where I do my salt. I then do my pepper after this, but I don't show it because I think I spend about 2 minutes trying to grind the pepper out of the pepper mill. I did go and get a new pepper mill because it was driving me insane. So just giving it a good stir and then stirring the pasta. Like I said, it's okay. It's not a big deal if you use the same spoon to stir your meat as it is your pasta, because it's hot. Everything is hot. It will kill any bacteria that you have got in there. So stirring the pasta before was just to make sure that it doesn't stick. I do this quite a few times throughout. You will notice that. And I do use the same spoon. I am also cutting down on washing up by using the same spoon. So giving it a really good stir, making sure that nothing is sticking. So the last bit of step number 3 is cook until browned all over. So it doesn't necessarily go completely brown, but it does cook. It says 4 to 5 minutes, but it's not necessarily completely cooked all the way through. It says turn occasionally, which is what I'm doing here. And it also adds in there that it's important to wash your hands and equipment after handling raw chicken and its packaging, which I had done. It then says lower the heat to medium and add the onion to the pan and stir fry until softened, about 4 to 5 minutes. Well, I've already started stir frying the onion in there. I don't want to waste any time waiting for things to cook unnecessarily. So I'm just popping all my rubbish bits over to one side so that it doesn't get me confused with the things that I have to put into the recipe in a minute. So step number 4, it says when the onion has softened, add the garlic and tomato puree and cook for a minute. I'm not quite there yet, but it isn't long before I add the garlic in. So giving it another good stir, making sure that everything is cooking evenly. And the same with the pasta, making sure that that's not sticking. So here we go, adding the garlic in, making sure I'm getting all the garlic off the knife as well, because we don't want to miss any garlic. You all know how I feel about my garlic. And then this is the tomato paste going in just now. So it wants you to give it a good stir, which once I've managed to get my garlic puree out, I do manage to do. Just like this, giving it a good mix in, making sure that everything's coated well. And as you can see there, it's started to turn things a little bit red, which is just nice. Making sure it's all mixed in, just like so. And then just checking my recipe to make sure that I know exactly what I'm putting in next. So this here is the red wine jus paste that I'm just about to put in now. I think I was just squeezing it out. It is quite thick stuff. So as well as that, we add the Worcestershire sauce and the mixed herbs. Just making sure I'm getting all that red wine paste out of the packet there. So the Worcestershire sauce is a lot thinner, so it goes in a lot nicer and a lot quicker. And the mixed herbs just going in there. So giving it all a good stir to make sure that everything's coated nicely. It does then ask you to add some water for your sauce, which is 200 ml. Just getting the jug out there. About to put that in a second when I've checked that I'm getting enough water. I don't put all the water in because sometimes it can make it too thin. And I had also found, if you remember, I'd got a recipe last week, I think it was, where I believed that HelloFresh hadn't sent me the chopped tomatoes. So I used my own tomato paste for it. Or tomato puree. It's tomato puree, not tomato paste. So what we do is turn this sauce into a bit more of a tomatoey type sauce. Looking at the recipe, it's looking like it's quite a dark brown sauce, which looks absolutely lovely, but because I had got the tomatoes from the week before, I add those in as well so that I'm making sure I'm using them up. I could have used them for making a chilli or a bolognese or something instead in my own time, but I did decide to put them into here. It gave it a good tomatoey flavour. We like tomato sauces with pasta. So just clearing up after myself there, and then giving that tomato sauce a good stir, making sure that it's all mixed in well so that everything cooks evenly. Like I said, this addition of the tomato sauce, of the chopped tomatoes, did make it really nice and rich because of the mixture with the red wine jus paste and the tomato puree. So just giving that a tap so I can stir my pasta again, and making sure that that isn't sticking. So just turning the heat down on the frying pan and taking the chopping board over to the other side. In this time, it's probably about 5 minutes. What I did was I did some dishes. I put some of the dishes away. And I think there we go. So we're just going to drain the pasta there. And pop the lid on it. So what I did in that time as well is I also drizzled a little bit of oil to stop it from sticking together, and then I put the lid on to stop it from getting cold, which is part of step number 2. So going back down to step number 4, it says bring to the boil, then lower the heat so the sauce simmers gently. Cook until the chicken is cooked through and the sauce is thickened, 3 to 4 minutes. So it says at the bottom there, the chicken is cooked when no longer pink in the middle, but as long as you've been cooking it for a good amount of time, it won't be pink in the middle, so you don't need to check it because it would be difficult. Oh, here is my tomato. So this tomato is an Oxheart tomato. And what we do is it had fallen off my mum's plant and it was destined for the compost heap, and she said it won't ripen up on the work surface, and I said yes it will, they ripen up from the inside out. So I was just showing you there that it had started to blush a little bit, and blushing means that it's turning red. So I left that on the side for a little bit longer and it turned a lovely pink colour. So I think there's a couple other recipes this week where I show you the progress of that. So just giving the sides a wipe down, making sure that my area is all nice and clean. And I do then later on, as I'm serving the pasta, I do tip some of it on the work surface, which you will see. And you'll probably be sat there laughing at me thinking this girl is nuts. So I've got my bowls out ready. When I'm doing pasta, I like to use those sorts of bowls. It keeps it hotter for longer than the more flat sort of bowls. So it means I don't have to put them in the microwave to heat them up, which, you know, suits me better. So just popping the lid for the saucepan into the washing up and popping the pasta into the saucepan, the pan with the sauce, just like that. Making sure that there isn't any stuck to the bottom and giving it a really good mix to get that pasta all the way through, including through the middle of those pasta tubes. The pasta is a rigatoni pasta, but it is quite a small rigatoni, whereas the pasta that's on the recipe card is quite big pieces of rigatoni. So step number 5 is once the chicken is cooked and the sauce is thickened, stir through butter and half the Italian style cheese. I did forget to put the butter in, but it didn't really matter because it was lovely anyway. So this is me sprinkling the cheese in. It then says when the sauce is ready, stir through the cooked pasta. Obviously I've done it the opposite way round. I wanted to get the pasta in so that it wasn't sticking to the bottom of the saucepan that it was sitting in. It then says toss well to combine. I don't toss when things have got sauce in because I will get it all up the wall and all over the hob. So I stir it. Stir it well to combine. So then the last bit of step number 5 is taste and season with salt and pepper if needed. I don't tend to because I do usually put quite a lot of salt and pepper in at the start and I wouldn't want to bore you with another 5 minutes of peppermill. It says add a splash of water if the sauce is too thick. It then says in step number 6, share the Chicken Chasseur Style Pasta between your bowls, sprinkle over the remaining cheese to finish, and enjoy. So you can see my other half in the background here. He was telling me about how his day at work went and his hour at the gym. My other half does CrossFit. If you're in the CrossFit community, make sure you let us know. We'd love to get to know some people in the CrossFit community. I'm more of I do my own thing in the gym because CrossFit exhausts me. So this is me chucking half the pasta over the work surface. There was pasta left over, which my other half finished off. And then just wiping the side of the bowls and popping that pasta in, licking my fingers and cleaning up the extra sauce. So just trying to put the cloth back in the sink. My other half was in the way. So just sprinkling over the remaining cheese here to finish. And then popping that cheese packet in the bin. So, just getting that cheese sorted out and telling my other half to go and put Netflix on because dinner is ready. And here are some amazing photos that I managed to get. They look absolutely incredible. So this is the end. Thank you very much for watching and I hope you come back for another episode very soon. Bye-bye.